Let's bring in Mike Sarraille. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He's also host of Fox Nation's The Unsung of Arlington, a great special. You want to check it out on Fox Nation. Mike, I don't know if you had a chance to see and listen to the president and Netanyahu's remarks just then, but President Trump was not wrong when he said that aside from being, perpetually in this mindset of being at war with the West, Iran's regime has a whole lot of mounting problems right now. Domestically, the economy is in shambles. Inflation is surging again. He also said this. Take a listen to President Trump.
I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them. They want to make a deal that's much smarter. They could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them, and they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal.
A lot of experts have pointed out, you can have a ceasefire in Gaza, you can have permanent ceasefire in Gaza, but you will not have peace in that region if Iran is enriching uranium for nuclear weapons.
No, Iran has always been the cancer of the Middle East. And the lexicon, the language that they're using of all-out total war is a sign of desperation. You just mentioned politically, diplomatically, militarily, they've been crushed. But we also have to understand that Iran's easy button is building missiles. It's a lot easier for Iran to rebuild missiles than it is diplomacy. And that's why this meeting is of such consequence between Netanyahu and President Trump, is that they realize they're willing to pay the bill now. That could be additional strikes on Iran rather than being pulled into a longer protracted conflict down the road.
Mike, you hear the president say pretty often that Iran, wants to make a deal, that he has heard that, he believes that. Why do you think he says that? I don't hear it repeated elsewhere. Not to suggest that it's not true, but where is he getting the idea that Iran is interested in some sort of an agreement?
President Trump may be privy to information that you and I don't have, but maybe he's seen something that if they cause a little more pain in Iran, that they will actually come to the table to be a functioning part of the Middle East. But right now, I don't see it. I don't agree with it. Iran has decades of state-sponsored terrorism behind their backs. It's what they know. They've preached death to Israel. It takes a lot to change that tune, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Mike, President Trump saying the praises of Turkish President Recep Erdogan as well there before they went inside Mar-a-Lago. He said he does anticipate his nation having a role in post-war Gaza, and Erdogan has been a pretty great guy, at least in his President Trump's opinion. But we are widely anticipating Netanyahu to be giving voice to the opposite sentiment in this meeting today. Not a fan of President Erdogan, does not want him getting involved in negotiations with Hamas.
Yeah, and this is where, Turkey is an ally of the United States. But Erdogan has been, his comments have been nothing less than anti-Semitism. I think it'd be an injustice to classify him as anything but. And so I see this being a red line in the sand for Netanyahu, that Turkey cannot and will not be part of phase 2, this international stabilization force. And that's critically where we're at right now. Phase 1, that's the easy part. Exchange hostages, give a little breathing room, surge aid. But phase 2 is where peace agreements go to die. And right now, Hamas is using the classic delay. If we do not get an international stabilization force for which nobody is volunteering on a national level, then that is where this deal could potentially fall and we can be back at war.
Yeah, for any of this to get underway, Hamas first has to, lay down its arms. And so far, they have not done that. We know that Witkoff has floated some proposals of weapons buybacks potentially. There are concerns about that, given if you hand off money in order to, give up your weapons, what happens in that region? Can you just buy more? Is that really a good idea? But what options is Netanyahu left with at this point to demonstrate to President Trump that he does want to get to phase 2, but he's dealing with an adversary that is sort of holding the line just right there?
Well, I've got to say that Netanyahu, from my perspective, has been wanting to keep demilitarization as a measurable, not motivational, meaning some UN vibes. What he's asking for is for tunnels to be destroyed, remains to be returned, and for Hamas to stop delaying and meet the standards and the deal that was laid out, the measurables, the objectives, meet them as per the timeline, and move towards phase 2 and actually to start to rebuild Gaza and to help the Palestinian people. But again, Hamas they used Palestinians as shields, and now they're doing an injustice to them in terms of stopping aid, surging aid to the people. Hamas continues to be a impediment to progress in phase 2.
But do you see, just to clarify, do you see Netanyahu pushing to make one last pass at just obliterating Hamas?
I think that is a likely option on the table. It's always an option on the table for Israel. If Hamas continues to delay, I would not be surprised if we see Israel start to strike Hamas in Gaza again.
Okay, Mike Sarraille, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.